Welcome to Coaching Uncut, a special series on the Unstoppable Woman podcast, where I take you behind the scenes and give you a peek into the private coaching I do with my clients. All of these coaching calls have been recorded with the permission from my clients who have generously allowed me to share these with you as a way of helping more people in this world. They give you access to master level coaching and the opportunity to learn the lessons that they're learning right along with them. Please keep in mind that these recordings are not studio productions and the audio quality may be less than ideal, but the content will take you far and help you become unstoppable. With that, listen in and learn.
So how are you?
I'm mainly great. If I sound droopy, I had to take antibiotics last night to address a thing that we were trying to work through herbally, but I do not do with antibiotics, so I was up most of the night.
Okay. Well, you're taking
I have
care
a great
of things.
naturopath.
Good.
Yeah. She's fantastic. Just, wow. Good. Me and antibiotics, not a good combo.
Yeah.
But since I was awake for a good portion of the night, I was like, I wonder what I'll think about. And I started thinking about this last night, about how much of this work is actually about rebuilding trust with self.
Yeah. So important to recognize, for sure. Tell me more about your perspective on that.
That in whatever realms we are working in, like for me, yesterday was a huge day, right? Because I got out 2 proposals totaling $99,950, which is sort of a funny number, 500 something. And it felt like such a big deal. And that got me thinking about, like, why was that such a big deal? I mean, I've landed plenty of, $50,000 contracts. There was nothing new in that. It was that I was dictating the terms much more explicitly than I have in the past. And so I had to trust that, really is a format that will work and get the results that I want. And then I have to trust that they're going to say yes, which that's about me still trusting me that I'm offering something that's of value. But ditto for, trusting myself to make good choices around food and being nourishing to my body. So it got me wondering, like, when do we lose trust on these different fronts and kind of why? And from the perspective of, like, and how can I continue to build in some instances, but really rebuild trust with myself so I can continue to make the progress that I want. But I don't want, because I do feel like I'm just about to, get to like a much higher level, like within the next few days. And so I think part of this is me trying to mitigate backsliding and self-sabotage.
Yeah. Okay. So for one, I think the important thing to ask is, have you ever had trust in yourself? And I don't mean that in a diminishing way, but in that really super solid, like, I trust myself, internally driven trust versus externally driven reactivity or response.
Mm-hmm.
How would you answer that?
I think it would depend on the topic. So, like, from a content delivery perspective, I do not have wobble in general. Like, I know that I'm giving you great counsel. I'm giving you great advice. I don't second guess it. I don't need you to validate it. It's just good counsel. Did I start off my career 18 years ago with that amount of confidence? No. It sort of evolved over time. But in other realms, I go back to the body image or the food example, which is about body image, and maybe at a time before I can remember, I fully trust myself, but not since I've been cognizant of my relationship with my body. Yeah, so that's, I can feel myself getting closer because I've been focusing on that work, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah, and what do you think builds trust? How do you know when? So 2 different questions. What do you think builds trust? How do you know when you trust yourself?
Yeah. For me, what builds trust is doing the thing that is in integrity with what I believe is right action, and sort of, I think of it as taking proud action. Like, I'm proud of myself. What was the second question?
I don't actually remember. It's right action. I moved on in my mind. I would agree that it is totally honest, right? I would agree that it is right action, but is it not also keeping your word to yourself?
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just doing the right thing, but doing the right thing in the time frame that you committed to, right?
Yeah,
so
like last night, this was being on my mind because yesterday morning I committed to doing a walk at the end of my workday no matter what. I worked for 12 hours joyfully and intensely and was real tired. And I was like, go put on your shoes, girl. You committed to doing this for yourself. So you're not going to dither on it.
Absolutely. And that is how we build trust. I believe that's how we build trust with ourselves and build pride in ourselves, worthiness, a sense of worthiness. And oftentimes we are always increasing our level of worthiness. We, like, spiritually, we're born worthy, right? If you access your spiritual self in this moment, in this present moment, you are fully freaking worthy. Okay. Like, you can tap into that in a freaking instant. As your human self, the joy of being human is in that growth. Okay. Now, sometimes it doesn't feel like a joy, but that's a perspective shift that I want you to learn to make. And that the joy is, I want to increase and expand in life, whether that means your income, your relationships, your general beingness. And in order to expand, you do have, right, all of that, you need to grow yourself. It requires different skill sets, mental perspectives, ways of being, practices, habits, all of that. And it inevitably, it's going to be a challenge because you would already be there at that level of expansion that you're going for if you already were doing the things that would cause that and were at that vibration level. So inevitably, there's growth there. And to grow yourself, grow your worthiness, grow your experience in life, you're going to commit to bigger and bigger things. That's going to then be a test, if you will, right, of keeping trust with yourself. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. And it's what the challenge that I see with folks is that we have the old self-image, the old identity that keeps them making excuses for not keeping their word with themselves at the level that they're at. So they circle again and again and again, right? I broke my word again. I'm untrustworthy, right? Like looping at that level. They never handle it at that level. So that keeps them from growing beyond in their business and in a professional life and the personal life, right? Whether we're talking about like keeping your word to yourself with the exercise or what you're eating, or in business, right? Or in relationships, there's always going to be that next level. You have to embrace that. Oftentimes people are like, you're moving the goalposts on me. Yeah. I get it. Do you want growth or do you not want growth? Okay. But to clarify that, we're going for that next level. We're achieving that next level. We're going for the next level. We're achieving that next level, right? We're not saying you didn't keep your word by moving the goalposts in that moment, but we're always committed to the growth. Okay.
Can we talk about goalposts for a second?
Yeah.
I have a very specific question. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had set, my I'm going to call my midterm goal at this point is 100,000 in revenue per month. But to get there, I had to get deal flow bulked up. So I'm like, okay, I want to bring in 50,000 per month now through the end of the year. So it was funny because I posted in a Facebook group like, hey, this is my pipeline. And it's like, I can do this. I can totally do this. And Debbie replied and said, so are you going to up your goal? And so I thought, I love that question that she's like, you know, inviting into further growth. But it left me wondering, like, how am I going to feel? Like, if I instantly, that feels like to me like moving the goalpost
right now,
before I've achieved
here's
it.
the thing that you need to, here's the thing you need to clarify. Is the 100K or the 50K contracted sales or cash in the door? So you need to clarify what that means for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you only increase it if you're making that number.
Okay. Yep. Okay. That was my intuition.
Now that doesn't mean, so I'm going to clarify that in a way. That works for 80% of the people. 20% of the people, and we never know who it is, okay? So 20% of the people, their subconscious is going to go, I don't want to go beyond this because that is totally freaking outside of my comfort zone, so I'm not going to achieve this first level goal. Okay?
Right.
And we don't want to set that up. So it's often great, best, better to say, I'm meeting this goal in the next 2 months, and only after that will I increase it. So you give this is the defined time period.
So,
and then
adjust time horizon, not the goal.
Both. So what I said was, I'm meeting this goal within the next 2 months. So it's the goal and the time horizon.
Okay. Right.
So, and then you have to, this is a bit of a nuance and a calibration with self. You need to figure out if you increase the goal at that point, or do you need to have 2 or 3 months making that goal, and then you're going to, building that trust per the trust question, building that trust with yourself, and then going to the next level.
Yeah.
Now, I am going to confuse matters, and I'm sorry for that. Please forgive me in advance. That is what I do now and what works. That is what works for most women. Set a large kick-ass goal, achieve it, go to the next level incrementally. Okay?
Yep.
But what I actually did, and this is where I have a hard time sometimes with people who do revisionist history, like this is what I would teach you now, right? It's not actually what they did. And I want to tell you what I actually did, which was I kept my end of the year goal, which was $1 million, front and center in my mind. Okay? Like that was my goal. I didn't know how I was going to get there. Like I'd done the math, don't get me wrong. Like I'd done my calculations and all of that, but it all seemed freaking impossible from where I was starting. Okay? And I didn't have a monthly goal. I just had an annual goal. I mean, I knew what my number was every month, like in terms of like I was going to be in the poorhouse if I didn't make any money, right? Like I had a sense of that. But if you talk to me when I was going through that quantum leap, I wasn't looking at monthly goals. I was looking at the annual goal, and I'm like, I'm going there, and I'm charging this, and that's what it is. And I went from 138 to 700K. I didn't get to $1 million, okay? But I did much more than I would have if I was freaking out about not making a monthly goal. That was, because some months I had 3 sales and some months I had 0, right?
Yeah.
It was not a roller coaster that I had the faint of heart, for sure, okay?
Yeah.
So I want to give that to you as the truth of what I did, which is I'm going for this no matter what. Okay? This is the outcome. And I didn't get hung up on the monthly. I mean, I was doing the math every single freaking day, right? Like I was looking at maybe not every single day, but I was looking at the math. Don't get me wrong. I knew where I was in relationship to the goal. Okay? And that actually effed me up at the end of the year because I was like, how am I going to make 300K in 30 days? And I had no belief in myself. Okay. But so I'm going to stop talking. Does that make sense? And how do you take that in terms of what would the best approach be for yourself?
Well, I think it's interesting because to me, it comes back to trust, but trust and motivation. So I still have the 1 million goal by April 1st next year. And but it's motivating to me to think about things on a month by month basis because I like to have near term and longer term. So the question for me would be, am I going to feel deflated if I don't make my monthly goal? And that's something that I should probably do a little more thinking on, but my intuition says no, because I'm pretty clear that like where my first big goal is to get to 100K per month with grace and ease consistently. And the 50K is like a step in that direction because 100K then adds up to, 1.2 per year. That all still feels good.
Okay.
I like having both.
I think that's fine. I think that's good. Okay.
Yeah. But I could see
awesome.
For other people that would not work. By the way.
Yeah. And you're going to play it out. Just go all in on it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
Talk to you tomorrow. You're welcome.
Okay. Bye.
I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this episode of Coaching Uncut. Let us know in the comments what you learned and how you can apply it to your own life and business. We absolutely love hearing from you. And we also love receiving your feedback. So thank you in advance for your likes and reviews. They really help us connect with more women who need this information to help them scale. So much appreciated for that and taking the time to do that. Now, if it's go time for you and you're ready to scale your life and your business, then I want to offer you up something. I want to offer you access to our Be Unstoppable Facebook group. We drop daily and weekly resources in this free group that show you exactly how to scale, what you need to be doing differently. So if you want access to that group and it's go time for you, go to theunstoppablewoman.com/Facebook group and that will redirect you there. So theunstoppablewoman.com/Facebook group, no spaces, and start by getting your copy of the Scale Plan, which lives there, and it's totally free. So go do that now, and then tune in to the next episode and continue to be unstoppable.